Okay, my friends, look, I've painted my nails quickly. I've done a terrible job, but it was just unacceptable what was going on before. We are now going to learn the knit stitch. So in knitting, there are two basic stitches that we use for all beginner kits, and they can create some amazing shit. And that is the knit stitch and the purl stitch. And right now we're going to learn the knit stitch. So here is your cast on that you've just done. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go and find the video for how to cast on. Right, so we're going to introduce another knitting needle. So we've got our cast on, we're actually going to flip it over. So you cast on that way, but you always knit with your needle with stitches on the left and your bare needle that you're going to be putting stitches onto on the right. And here are your two bits of yarn. This is your long tail of your cast on, or your tail. Shouldn't be that long, but we had a bit of a cast on laziness factor for me. And this is the one attached to your ball. So at the moment, the one attached to your ball should be at the front. So here's your lovely cast on, and here are your knitting needles. I feel like I'm totally going to steal this way to remember how to learn to knit from a woman on Instagram that I then used to teach my 7-year-old son to knit, because it's so hilarious and it works so well. Okay, I'm going to give it a go. So you take your right knitting needle that has nothing on it, and you go into your first stitch on your left and you stab it. Then you're going to take, you have to have the yarn on this side. Oh wait, that's what's wrong. Your yarn ball needs to be on your right, on the right side of you. So this is your yarn ball, this is the yarn attached to it. It needs to be on the right. So when you put your needle in from the left, the yarn is going to keep on the right of you, okay? So you're going to come in from the left and you're going to front to back stab it. You're going to get your yarn and you're going to strangle it. So you go from behind around that needle that you've just popped in. Stab it, strangle it, and then I hold it here. You reel them in and throw them off a cliff. And this little tail has just come through. Just give him a little break. Okay, shall we go again from the left? Front to back, left in, stab him, strangle from behind, reel him in, throw him off a cliff. Okay, so this is very basic hand holding. When you start getting used to it, you'll figure out how you want to hold the tension of this yarn. So I like to wrap twice around, and it still needs to be able to do this, right? So you're not doing it so it's like, it still needs to be able to flow through your finger, but you also need to be able to kind of hold it. So I'm going to do what I do, which is go around twice, but you'll find out what works for you. Okay, so here we are. We want to hold it so our stitches are kind of at see where it goes from the straight edge of your needle to the pointed bit? Kind of want them right on the edge there. So we're going to go left to right, stab it, strangle from the back, and this is where it's nice, keeps a nice tension. Reel them in, throw them off a cliff. Like, I don't know how I learned, but it was not this fun. And River picked this up in 2 seconds, okay? Stab, strangle, reel them in, and throw them off a cliff. Okay, so what you're seeing here is you're now transferring your stitches from the left needle to the right, and you're adding as you go. So we'll just finish this row. Stab, left to right and kind of front to back, strangle from behind, reel them in, and throw them off a cliff. Stab, strangle, reel them in, throw them off a cliff. And we can you kind of just wriggle as you go. So you want to wriggle on your stitches. So you don't want to be holding too tight, because then your stitches will be bunched up here really tight on the needle. And I mean, you can be someone who does kind of loose stitches, but just understanding that will change the kind of sizing of your entire garment if you want to go real loosey. Okay, left to right and front to back, stab, strangle, reel them in, throw them off a cliff. Stab, strangle from behind, reel them in. Ooh. So if this happens, which it does sometimes, get a bit gung-ho and you pull everything off, you just kind of thread it back on, it's no big deal. Throw them off a cliff. From the left to right, we're coming down to the last two, stab, strangle, and the first row of knitting is always going to be a little bit almost kind of sticky because you're working with a cast on or not a row. Okay, and this last one, there's kind of just a loop here that you're going to go through. Stab, strangle, reel them in, and throw them off the cliff. So you've thrown it completely off the cliff, and you now have a row of knitting on your needle. And now, to do another row, you switch it to the other side. So you always have your stitches you're working with on the left and your bare needle on the right.